Time for another rig reaction.
Red Fang.
We're doing Red Fang. What else was I going to say?
Red Fang rocks.
I'm not as familiar, but I did confirm there's a pedal board in this. The bass player's in this too, I think. We can always skip him or whatever if we feel the need. So
It's hard being a bass player.
all right, let's check it out.
This is Brian Giles, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
So right off the bat, I don't know what kind of guitar that is. What is? It looks kind of Reverend-ish.
Had a ton of time,
I
but
mean,
you
it's
were playing like a
humbucker,
weird
like a only
five-string
one humbucker.
thing the last time we talked to you, right? Like you would have
Yeah.
a custom kind of made,
Well,
or the custom nut at least, right?
I did commit to making it a 5-string guitar. It was initially a 6-string guitar. It's a '64 Fender Mustang.
That guy's what you call a
Anyway,
dude
I've
right
had
there.
it. I've been playing that guitar since I was
He's a dude.
19 years old. Anyway,
What,
I just
You know what this 5-string guitar business is about?
Not at all. Since Keith, I mean, unless it's Keith Richards, I
retired it about a year and a half ago, but not permanently. I'm not saying it'll be back. I don't know.
He's not even playing it.
Because we were traveling. So this is David's backup guitar, and
Nick
it was
Huber's
on loan from Nick Huber.
one of my favorite people in the world. He's great.
It's a Crowster 2. It plays awesome.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it definitely looks like they're in a back room of a music store.
it was 70s sound. It had to have tubes in it. And so I played a Fender Bassman 50 for, a good 15 years or something like that. And it just wasn't loud enough, honestly, when I
you
started
used to play
playing with
a
John.
Bassman.
John hits his drums so hard that I was like, I can't, 50 watts ain't gonna do it. So I had to switch something. So I moved through some other things like a trainer and some other, 100-watt amps. But we started this band, and Aaron had been collecting Suns for a couple
Oh,
of
it's a
years.
Sun.
So he had extra. Anyway, he's sweet to
You know where those are made?
continue to loan
Don't,
these.
but I
to
know
us.
they're-
But I don't know how many Suns do we have now?
Digital
Probably
technology.
Twit.
There's a band named after those amps. They're like a drone. I guess I don't even know if it's technically metal, but like drone doom noise kind of. And their name is literally that is Sun, and then like an approximation of that logo. Like
okay.
people will write Sun 0 parentheses.
Cool.
So that's the only reason I know about these. I guess they're nice bass amps or whatever. But
I don't know how many Suns do we have now? Probably.
he's a guitar player. He's using a bass amp,
Twit.
and so some kind of what are they? Are they like
They're
So
they're
which-
just
I have two or one. I don't know. I have at least one.
a dirtier
Anyway, it
Foo
gets kinda
Fighters.
confusing because
Okay.
there's so many.
You know,
And, they do
musically
break down,
musically
unfortunately,
dirtier,
so
musically
we have a lot of
just
Yeah.
backups. And so there's
something kind
I
of
think
sludgy
David
maybe?
still has
Uh,
something
a little
like
bit.
4 or
They're
5 in his
aggressive
shop.
and they're definitely
you know,
just straightforward
swapping it.
rock.
So I'm guessing that
but
was, like,
maybe
in
I
a
guess you could
combo
throw
of
them
some
in
sort
with the
you guys
stoner
built?
rock category.
Yeah, Aaron.
But I think
that's kind of what I was picturing.
was
as well.
Ronnie's
I think they're
Stoner rock, but I'm always
Did
like,
this one, and then
I don't know. This guy looks like a
David
stoner. I don't want to
built
judge his
Nah.
lifestyle based on his
They're
amp choices.
They're definitely light beer drinkers, and I get that from every single one of their videos.
And they're
So
light.
it's like, or maybe not light beer, just cheap beer. Yeah, PBR and no, God bless it. I fucking dig that shit too, man. I like, yeah, these guys are they fucking rock. They're great.
All right, he's got an orange cab, a Sun amp. Let's see if we can get to the pedal board.
Today 412s, which I kind of liked because you could sort of hide behind that a little bit. So now I kind of have to play better with these, which is kind of a drag, But hey, I guess getting better, that's a good thing.
Sounding awesome is not a bad thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, if you're,
I just have to be more articulate because you'll hear flubs a lot more through these. But and they sound terrific. I used to not believe that, your cabinets really made a big difference, but it does. It's night and day, the sound.
Cabinets make the biggest difference of anything, all the time. I've talked about my Mesa cabs before.
As opposed to like open back and close back.
No,
and
as
all
opposed to
of
like the
all of
amp
that stuff.
like
or the-
amp and cab. Cab is probably more important because, like I found both plugging my Mesa cabs that I love. Any amp I plug into them sounds good, and like when I'm using the XFX, I use those same cab IRs on everything. If I'm not liking whatever cab IR I'm using, I throw in one of the Mesa ones I like, and it's always good. Like, I mean, I usually don't use them on cleans and stuff, but when I do use them unclean, it's like good enough. But like the distorted stuff, they just is something. It shapes the low end so much. Anyway, I'm just saying yes. It's like guitars and pickups, because pickups, people underestimate what a huge difference they make. If you got crap pickups, you're gonna sound like crap.
Yeah.
And you can put good pickups in a cheap guitar, it'll sound like 200%.
It's huge.
Like a much more expensive guitar, which is more expensive because they put those pickups in it.
Yeah, it's huge.
So we basically got these pedals. I can show you that.
Yeah.
Yes, please show us.
Oh, the pitch shifters. Yeah.
Please show us the pedals.
Hey, I got that one.
Pitchfork, which I use during the set as an octaver.
I try to sell people on this pedal all the time. I want to do a show on it.
Yeah, totally do.
It's incredible.
Just switch it to a major second.
Cool.
Lower.
So you're just kinda full
you
step,
can
yeah.
you can hear it, but it doesn't bother me. Like I said, it's sort of
What do you hear, like the digital signal path kind
just
of thing?
a very little bit, but I think
it doesn't bother me.
it's kind of pleasant.
But it
Yeah,
tracks really well. No, I know what he mean. I know what he means. Sometimes
yeah.
you want. Sometimes cheesy is good, and
Yeah.
it's not a cheesy pedal. That's not what he's saying. He's just a little overtone
Right.
of.
Like, yeah, you're gonna hear it, but
You got your whammy and your
Even-
harmonist and.
like I would argue that the Axe Effects now has gotten to like what you would have needed a Eventide for maybe 10, 20 years ago. But there's still a limit. The further you go from the original pitch, the less it sounds like the original thing. And that's just partially, how audio works. There's only so far you can go before it sounds weird. Like chipmunk voice, right? You can only pitch up somebody's voice before everyone's like, humans don't sound like that.
Oh, Electro-Harmonix, I feel, is notorious for good tracking. All of their B9s, their C9s, their pitchforks, everything that tracks with Electro-Harmonix is generally impressively good. Yeah, it's just a really, really cool pedal. And I think one of the pluses of you take a band like that doesn't have time to fuck around with a lot of stuff, and he's talking about the minor second intervals. Like it has the little M2 right there,
Right.
so you can just look at it real quick, set it.
Well, and like he's saying, he uses it as basically like a detuner.
Right,
And cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does have a thing for sure.
But
for
it's
sure,
a pleasant thing
Yeah.
to my ears,
Oh, to mine too, man, and it sounded really, really
and
good.
it's a lot lighter than a guitar.
Yeah.
This dude has a Manowar shirt on right now. That's interesting.
Now I'm unfamiliar with Manowar.
You're unfamiliar with Manowar?
Yeah,
Oh, shit.
yeah. School me.
Oh, man. We got to do, we should do some, we should just do reaction videos to, some Manowar shit if you haven't heard Manowar. Man, they're a ridiculous metal band.
Awesome.
They're basically the most, you heard, true metal, where metal gets into, being the most metal, And, they're, I don't know, they didn't necessarily invent it, but they, perfected it. And by perfected, I mean they sound like the biggest.
We'll watch them tonight.
Yeah, carnage on that is not too bad, right?
Exactly.
I mean, all right, before I let you go, Mr. Giles, I would love to hear this song. Can you just give me your bass tone?
Sure, absolutely.
Cool.
Here we go. Hold your ears.
Oh, so they're kind of like proto metal, right? Kind of like Sabbath, it's not really, it's not metal by it's old school metal. It's like Sabbath, like pre.
With more fucking pep in their step than Sabbath.
Yeah.
You know what I
well,
mean?
right. But again, it's the genre that is sort of owes a lot to Sabbath, where they tune down. But it's not quite metal, but it's It's kind of what I've heard them at some point, but I don't remember.
They got a video where they get $5,000 in the beginning of the video and spend everything on a cheap car and shit that they can run over with the car.
Oh, really?
It's a great
Nice.
video.
I remember
It's a great video. They buy 80 fucking gallons of milk.
Nice.
And set it up on a airplane field and just bang.
Because I remember that series of videos, because I think Eric Andre did one that was really good. I think he did one for Thundercat. And I forget who was behind those, though, because somebody was setting that up, and then maybe it was Vice or somebody. Somebody was posting them, and been here, take $5,000, make a music video. But the thing is, I don't think they included the camera crew in that budget. Just to be, as somebody who has had to invest in cameras, and just so you know, the 5,000, it's like 5,000 plus. Here's somebody to actually shoot it. I think, although I could be wrong, because I think some of them were really low, DIY cut. But I think they had I think they had cameras. I'll have to see that one
I'm not
for
enough
sure.
of an
But like,
AV guy to know,
the
but
point
you
is,
know.
you need a camera too. But, I mean, everyone has their phone now. You could definitely make a music video on your phone, but I don't know if they did. And anyway, I'm going down a rabbit.
Jolioli would do that.
Man, he needs to get back on his shit. Stop playing fucking Fortnite.
Strings and gauges.
I use. This is also a 5-string, or I just
Oh,
don't.
you're just
put
not
the, I
using
just don't
the E?
put the
Okay.
5th string on theirs, and
See?
I use a.
He just didn't put the so this one is he's playing. This is what I was saying. You don't need a guitar that only has. But just play a 6-string without the. It's not.
It's without the B?
No, he's got no E. He's got no high E.
Oh, no, high E, okay. Yeah.
But that being said, I don't know what he's got. If he's got the B tuned to B or. I mean, I guess it would make sense with like a drop tuning. You won't run into the. But that's also why some people do double drop. But this way he could. Yeah.
40. Currently, I'm doing 49 to 14.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, right on. What brand? Or
49 is pretty
Oh,
light for the
Generally,
Yeah.
Dunlop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
And my tuning, if anyone cares, well, this is in drop D, but it's D, A, D, G, and then a unison G.
But it's a different gauge on the unison G, correct?
Yes.
That's and you notice
Dead
a
good.
difference.
It
So
warbles a
like
little bit
tuning.
more, and I kind of
like
like it.
that. Yeah.
I, you know, I could get custom strings, but I kind of like the fact there's a little bit of a difference.
It's almost a perfect rhythm setup because it's really all you need. I mean, for this band, it's just rock and roll, man. It sounds
And I just
great.
like
Yeah.
that for the unisons, you can get really
I
strong.
kind of wish that they'd get one of these guys who is just a little bit less like, oh yeah, bro, that's you don't need 6 because I'm like, whatever. I use all well, whatever 6. Fucking talk about not enough strings, right? I mean,
Right.
I like to joke that 6 is not enough strings because 7 is. Let's be honest, 7 is the correct number of strings. 8 strings is too many strings, but it's too many strings I can work with. 9 is right out. 5, I don't know what this business is about. I've never really wanted less strings than 6, but whatever floats your boat. But
What's always turned me on about playing the guitar in general is the high end, the squealy end.
right?
I mean,
Well, that's
the
my
high-
thing.
like
I liked as guitars added the low end because it sounds cool for riffs or whatever. But I never didn't want the same high end.
Because with that same pitchfork, you can go. It's the only. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's the only harmonizer like in a pedal form out there that goes 3 octaves up or down. So you can set it up.
it
if,
might.
If you can set.
I don't
it
know
up
if the
to
whammies
go-
might have by
so
now
it's
tried
like,
to catch up, but
I know they all do too. But like 2 is standard. But like that bitch will go like so when you hit a high note.
Yeah.
Well, you want that last string to like.
right. Well, you know, and like I
the-
said, like my thing is also I've always, but I don't know. I didn't have a point. Whatever.
with Aaron Bean.
Oh, he's the
right?
singer too.
Correct.
All right, man. Cool ass name. Thanks. Mine's Bean. It's pretty close. But,
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
1986
Yeah.
GNL SB1, which is obviously the P-bass version of the better.
Man, that thing
But,
is nasty. I love the checking. I don't know if you guys can see it, but like,
Yeah.
holy hell, that's beautiful.
That's from there was some tour we
That's
did
from being
where
old.
That's from my arm
from,
rubbing on it and the acid in my sweat. And he's like, "Oh, look at how beautifully."
Yeah, time takes its toll.
Like, yeah, you want to smell it or something?
What is
Like,
that?
what the?
What was that moss? With the it's just like it's amazing. It's
yeah,
there's some
it was
growth
a
on
winter
there.
tour and It
That's
was so cold that
amazing.
Yeah, I pulled the bass out and was like, "What's that going on with it? Do I have ice all over my bass?" No,
It's just
But yeah.
gorgeous. It just
like it.
looks way cooler now.
Yeah.
And you're not running. I mean, you are lean and mean. No pedals, right?
I have this pedal called a chromatic tuner.
I've heard those make.
All
you
right,
sound
we don't
good.
need to hear any more about this
Okay.
guy, right? He's the bass player.
on that note.
He doesn't have any pedals. I think there's another guy. Bass player.
It
Yeah,
is-
there's this guy.
I like how he answered it though. It is pedal called
Chromatic tuner.
He was not
Dude,
wrong.
great. This is all right. And you're the guy in the band
here
with
we go,
with
Here we go.
pedals.
Here
so.
we go.
This is the board I saw when I skimmed it to make sure. I'm now. I don't want to watch the video in advance, ruin my unique reaction.
Right.
But I want to skim it and make sure we're not going to watch 20 minutes of something and then find out there's no pedals.
We're
'Cause,
getting more experience
We
with
gotta
this.
have
We're
some
getting-
interest in
yeah.
it, right? It's got to have some. Otherwise, there's I got
Otherwise,
nothing to
we're
say.
just watching it just like anybody
Like,
else.
I mean-
we're just watching the video.
They got a bunch of. They all got Sun amps into Orange cabs. That's all right. Orange makes nice cabs. I have like an obsession with the Mesas. It's something about the, the freak. It's sort of always comes down. It's just the frequencies they emphasize. But Orange, like there's 2 parts to it. One is just that it's a well-made cabinet made of actual wood, and not like, particle boarders. Companies start cutting corners. That's one of the reasons certain things started getting shitty, and then people wanted vintage, artisan, handmade, hand-wired, blah, blah, because they're like, because it didn't used to be shitty. Why is it shitty? It was like, it's shitty because they're trying to cut costs, right? And now there's like, oh shit, they want the good shit. Okay, well, let's make that and have it be premium. Losing my train of thought. My point was, Orange makes good cabs. They sound different than the ones I like, but they're both like, it's a good cabinet made out of wood, kind of heavy.
Yeah.
But there's a reason they sound as good as they do.
If it's heavy, it's expensive.
More than the other guys, yeah.
Yeah, totally. Well, let's start with this Huber.
Yeah.
Man, I love Nick. One pickup.
Yeah.
He has 6 strings,
Rock and roll.
This is
But
my
one pickup.
second.
He's the lead guitar player.
but he has a nasty wraparound tailpiece. That's especially, if they're doing weird tunings especially, that basically means that his intonation is never...
That's a bad thing?
Well, so these kind of bridges you can't adjust, which if you're in standard tuning, it should be fine, right?
Right.
If you're just in E, but if you suddenly tune to like drop C, it's not going to be, you're totally going to be, I mean, it sounds like the stuff they play, there's not a whole lot of complex chord voicings that require a perfect harmonic relationship. It's so it's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Situation.
I think it's called a vintage B, which I think just means bridge.
Our little bridge pickup.
Yeah. I think it's
That would be
That's
really
cool.
reasonable
That's
if that
cool.
was true.
I think when the dumpster out behind the apartments where I live at, somebody was throwing away like a little kid's desk.
Rules.
And I noticed the color was orange. It's like almost the orange. So I was like, I'm going to use that wood.
I mean,
I like these guys, man.
It's not nothing fancy, just some screws and whatever. But yeah, they're great. When we fly, that's...
I want to say they're from like the
Talk about your
Portland.
pedals.
They're like the Portland, Oregon region there. So
I believe it.
They're all real
case for it,
dudes,
but,
you know.
This is just kind of always by my side. In the airport, I have a backpack and this thing in my hand.
when does he
Yeah,
talk
they're great.
about
Are you guys all running the same
Okay.
speakers in these oranges?
Yeah, I believe they're the
Wait till he starts
vintage
looking
30s.
down.
Actually, when we...
and bam.
It happens on the orange cabins.
Those orange cabs are one of my favorite.
Let's talk about your pedals now. Cool, let's talk about your pedals now.
But they're solid. They're really solid.
Yeah. So let's talk about those pedals
Take a
now.
step forward. There we
Hey,
go.
let's talk about
This one Huber, right?
Yes.
Oh, he's looking at his guitar. He's not looking at the pedals. He tricked me.
Uh-oh.
Tricked me.
Top pedal, so that way you don't
There
have
we
to
go.
travel with so many
Yeah,
guitars.
and I
Oh,
mostly... unless
he uses
you're,
That's
Interesting,
That's what they were
interesting.
talking about. They were using the polyphonic pitch shifter, and the other guy was talking about the pitchfork. This guy's talking about the drop tune,
Yes.
the Digitech drop. So that's how because they're only playing one guitar, they're kind of fudging it with the pedals.
Yep.
It was like, okay, drop D, bang.
Yeah.
There you go. Drop C, bang with the
That's-
pedal,
yeah.
which is completely valid. That's like a great fucking why fuck around with the guitar when you can?
some, well, and it
like,
saves money bringing more guitars out and shit.
Yeah, absolutely. I like it.
doing these shows with Clutch and these festivals, we don't get a very long set, so we're not even doing the drop
Right.
Cs. So I'll use it as an octave.
Okay.
Just it's like your dry signal plus an octave.
Octave up or down.
And then and it can do a drop, a polyphonic drop, which is
And it's got a
nice.
momentary feature, right, where you can hold it in the
Yes,
middle.
yeah,
of
you can switch that and you can just kind of tap it or whatever.
I don't think the drop goes up. I think it's just the drop feature.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I'm like, where Digitech was clearly like, we got this whammy pedal. What if we took part of it,
They told
put
you
it in a different
half a
pedal?
drop tune, a half a
Right,
drop tune.
they sell you half
a
a-
drop tune, half the whammy drop DT,
Right.
half the whammy
It's
DT.
like it's a good business. You're like, you got this thing that does a bunch of stuff. Maybe somebody just wants one feature and they want to pay half as much.
there
Fuck
you
it.
go.
It's like an MXR knob and I put
Oh, he's got that earthquaker.
Dispatch Master.
I like that.
Yeah.
Fucking talk about that pedal.
those by accident and cut myself out.
Dispatch Master is your delay reverb.
Put that on there and a little watch. Yeah, I used to use a Boss TU2 or TU3, but I like.
Is it me or is the
tiny.
Phase
I
95 like
small.
Yeah,
impossible
this
to
is
see?
perfect.
Yeah, so I got
It was the light was right on.
Poly TU2, then this Digitech drop. I was using a MXR bass octave deluxe, but it's not polyphonic and it can't do the drop thing. So I was like, well, this can do the octave and it can do that. So I've kind of started using this guy.
Yeah, they got both
And then
pedals
the
that'll
Phase
do that, the
95,
pitchfork and this
usually
one.
it was just a normal Phase 90, but again, I'm trying to keep everything small. So when they came out with this, I was like, I gotta get one of those.
Have you ever A-B'd that between the 90?
Yeah, I can't tell the difference.
You can barely tell the
That's
difference.
awesome.
I have
can't tell the
A-B'd
difference. And
that
if you
between
do
the
a
90, you can
45,
barely tell.
and
It
the
is.
script style also. I basically run it like a 90.
For
yeah.
sure.
Thunder
I
Claw.
originally had this guy last. and I
badass
had
looking
this
thing.
Here.
I'm unfamiliar
Or
with
actually, I
that
had
one.
first. Anyway, but I noticed that this thing doesn't do well if it's after distortion.
Rules.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I tell you what. Before I let you go, can I hear your amp?
Oh,
And then-
sure.
Then
You
let's
might
go
play a little bit.
through these just
Yeah,
to
sure.
hear its
There we
basic
go.
tones.
So here's the
I got
basic
surprised. Is that the Thunder Claw?
And then you want to do some octave stuff. I like-
Is Jamie into these guys?
Yeah,
I
he
feel
showed
like-
me that video.
Okay, because I
showed
feel
me
like
that
he
video.
maybe tried to recommend them to me at one point too.
Yeah, he's the one that got me hip to him. Yeah.
And because I also remember there was a period where he was really into playing with like an octave pedal instead of just playing like octave instead of bass, basically.
Well, to be fair, Jamie's
riffs.
always been into doing that.
Okay,
as
well,
long
that's
as
what
I've
I'm saying.
known him, he's
Then
like
they-
always
ma-
done the
Then he maybe he likes them because of that rather than the other way around.
either
but,
tuning
that's
tuning
interesting.
down or with the octave pedals. As long as I've known him, he's been with the octave pedals and stuff like that. So
Hey, on that is great.
Yeah,
It's got a
and
really nice
it can
decay.
get really big. I have it about halfway up.
I bet that can get away
basically
from you, huh?
everything at noon, but yeah, and it's
we work with this stuff a lot, but usually we don't hear stuff at like huge volumes like that.
like stage volume,
and
basically.
stage
yeah.
volume, and to be honest,
Everything
the
sounds
stuff-
kind of
the
different
stuff
at
sounds-
volume.
Yeah, and it does sound cool when you get a chance to really fucking crank it
Yeah.
up. We're so busy like,
And some stuff just doesn't like to give some credit to all the different overdrive and distortion pedals and whatever. And half the time I'm like, yeah, whatever. I just want my amp to do it.
Yeah.
But some of the stuff you hear a lot more when you can actually.
there's a certain
Turn it up.
there's a certain majesty when it gets like really loud.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that's what it's supposed to sound like.
Well, and that's the thing with where speaker cabinets come in too, is you don't hear just traditional guitar cabs are meant to be run at a certain volume where you can start to hear it in the speakers, right? The speakers have to move a certain amount to get the sound you're supposed to get out of them. And when you go below that, it doesn't quite, but that's also why I like the Axe effects and stuff, because you basically you simulate that. You don't have to deal with the actual volumes, but you
limitless
get
simulations
those sounds.
of those things.
Yeah. And the impulse responses, they're those you do at volume, or at least at enough volume that you hear like you get how the speaker reacts to
Sure.
frequencies and stuff.
you almost can't even hear it.
Just puts a little
Just
hair
a
on the
little
top.
beefs
Yeah,
it up
yeah.
a little bit, and for like
So he's using it almost
that
like
So
a
when you're
tube
ripping
screamer, I
leads, I'm guessing you're
guess.
cranking that
Yeah,
on.
I'll-
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot
isn't
of
that by definition what you use a tube screamer for is
Yeah.
just to like just
which, but a lot of
push, like-
basically a lot of overdrive pedals, you can use it to like that. You could hear the presence, you could hear the high end kind of come up, and
people talk about stacking pedals all the time.
Yeah.
And so this would be he's like kind
People-
of stacking the distortion of the amplifier through the pedals.
yeah,
right?
and some people seem to think we didn't know about that simply because we scoffed at a certain tube screamer chain.
oh
chain,
yeah,
a
yeah,
tale of
yeah,
two
yeah,
tube
yeah.
screamers.
I don't scoff at tube screamers. I wouldn't do.
Well,
that.
we
We did that.
were like,
we
hey,
did,
you
alright.
got two. Yeah, but it was the two of the same pedal, and it's like, yeah, you could do that. Whatever, fine. Do what you got to do.
This is a different video.
This is different.
Cut.
Yeah. And that's pretty much it. I mean, I bought I got this little pedal train Nano. I bought the Nano Plus, which is only that much bigger, and I was like, it's too big.
Yeah, my
So I
little
went
board
back
is a
to this.
nano. It's super.
Oh yeah, I've got
Oh, look at you, and it fits right in there.
Seox, yeah, it's a Seox
DC5, right?
DC5, and I really love that it's kind of all in one,
Dude, that's
and it can run 220, so I don't have to change this when I go to Europe.
Oh, killer, you
Just
just
plug
click
in
it
a
over.
different thing or use an adapter.
I should get a real
and it
power
works,
thing
yeah.
though for my.
Yeah, I really
I
like
only
that
have
this is
a
kind of all. That's everything I need.
one
right
spot
there.
daisy chain.
I really do.
back
I really do
approach.
like the small. I respect the
Fits in a
small
backpack
setup
and-
like that, though.
Well, damn, I'm stoked to see the show. Again, love your videos. You guys, this is so good. Right on. Well,
Like I like the idea of a big pedal board in in the studio, in like a rehearsal situation where you're like you're writing, experimenting. You need everything available, but it's been a long time since I was remotely into the idea of it, like traveling with a big board, because it's so many points of failure, so many knobs that can be in the wrong position.
That's what gives me the fucking fear, dude. If you
That's
step on
what-
something and you're like,
Listen.
while you're doing something and it's not working and you don't know why it's not working. Then...
If you enjoyed our rig reaction, give us a like and maybe subscribe. Maybe turn on notifications if you want to see more of these. Otherwise, I don't know.
This is content.